Our scene opens as the bell rings to signal the end of the school year. Classroom doors open and children come pouring out, backpacks on their backs, smiles on their faces. You hear the scuffing and squeaking of shoes on the linoleum as kids hurry for the buses or other modes of transportation, yelling, laughing, overwhelming amounts of chatter, and just hyper energy all around. And the camera watches as the buses fill, as if in like fast forward, and they begin to pull out of the school parking lot. And when the camera zooms into the windows of one bus in particular, we find our characters.
I-10, pronouns she, her, is a little small for her age, 4 feet something. She's 10 years old, and she is dressed relatively modestly with like a t-shirt and long sleeve tee, loose slacks, headscarf, lightly tanned skin, and glasses, big backpack, and a below the knee prosthesis on the left. And she is excited about summer break. She loves school, but the prospect of being able to run around for 3 months uninhibited is just too much. And she is continuing probably to look at her bestest best friend as they start to make plans about all the mischief they're going to get into for the rest of the summer.
I imagine in the row behind Aiton is my character, Ness. Vanessa is 11. She has kind of shoulder length, kinky curly hair that is usually either down and in a beanie or like pulled back in a ponytail to keep their hair out of their face. Their knees are kind of scrunched up against the back of the seat, so they're like a little like a almost like a little like backwards N shape or something, like scrunched into the seat. And they have a little field notes notebook that's open, and they're scribbling like line after line after line. And when the camera kind of pulls around to the side and back of them, you can see the list is just like all the ways that their friends could potentially get hurt this summer, and all of the cool places. There's like another list for all the cool places we can go to do stunts, and then there's like another list for like ways in which we are being our best self. Just like little lists, and they're like flipping back and forth between these pages as they're listening to Aiton and listening to our next person.
I am playing Luz. Luz is 10 years old, pronouns she, they. Luz is just like the definition of a messy child. Their backpack has like duct tape wrapped around it where it like one of the straps broke. Their hair is pretty short and just like fly away messy. It looks like they tried to pull a brush through it like 2 days ago, and their parents don't want to fight them because their hair is curly. So they just it's pretty short, so it doesn't get messy quickly, but it's getting to the point that someone's gonna have to wrestle a hairbrush through their hair. They've got on like a little tie-dye shirt that looks like it was worn by at least one or two people before them. And like they have a sweater tied around their waist. And they are like their knee is bouncing. They're talking animatedly with their hands to Aiton and Ness about all the places they could go. The bus driver is constantly, not even like thinking about it, turning over the shoulder. Luz, sit on your butt. Luz, sit down. Luz, it's probably every 5 minutes because they'll sit back down and their knee will start going, and then they'll get excited about something and they'll get up on their knees on the seat and turn to look at Ness behind them and try to tell them, and then the bus driver will call them down again. They are the definition of a hyperactive child.
Probably a couple of seats in front of the hyperactive talking group of friends is Kyle Gene Bird, who's 12 years old. He's sitting by himself on the bench, really close to the window. He's very bland looking. He has shaggy brown hair with a red headband on, and he has the blue sort of track suit on, and you can see that he's wearing a karate gi underneath it. And you see him just sitting in his seat, looking out the window, but also sort of like moving his hands and his legs, like it seems to be going through some of the forms in his head. Yeah, he's looks pretty solitary kid.
Right across from Kyle is Uzo. It's a pretty small but sturdy 12-year-old girl who is wearing the equivalent of basically just a jumpsuit, one of many jumpsuits that they now own, that has their name written on it in marker in the front. They have one of those big case-it binders that substitute backpacks that you like unzip and have like way more like straps and pockets than a backpack would need for a child that age. And they are currently sketching on graph paper. Every time Luz pops up, they're sketching out some sort of like Pop Goes the Weasel kind of machine. They're like inspired by it, like working out the mechanics of like, what does it pop up with? Is it snacks? Is it what? And that's what they're completely lost in right now. So they're participating, but very much separate.
And the camera kind of pulls up to a couple of seats in front of that, where we see who the other students would recognize as Logan Pearson. Boyish face, pink lips, short, like sandy blonde hair with some wild curls and waves, plain blue jeans, Converse, a pink t-shirt with one sort of like cartoon panda on the front, and he just sits there and he seems to be like coloring in some sort of notebook. He has one of those, big Crayola markers, and you just kind of hear it just going against the paper as he's coloring in something. And then the camera sees him like shoved out of the seat and slammed down onto the aisle. And he falls down, drops his marker, and it rolls underneath Uzo's seat. And he kind of gets up, and you see in the seat with him previously, you see someone familiar to all of you in one manner or another. 12 years old, Justin Hansen. Kind of just known as the school bully. Nothing else, really. He's loud. He's annoying. Honestly, there's nothing special about him. You've never seen him do anything, really. You've never seen him turn in a paper. You've never seen him. You don't even really know if he's going to be going into the next grade. You just know he's awful. And he's laughing after kind of shoving Logan down onto the floor in the aisle, and you see him lean over and like grab onto the sketchbook that he was scribbling in, and he's like flipping through it and everything. And I'm going to say that Kyle and Uzo probably see the majority of this because you're a little bit closer up. And I mean, he's not being quiet about it at all. He's flipping through. Something falls out, and you see a little like origami animal that has been folded up fall down onto the seat. And he picks it up, and he's like, what is this? Why are you so weird? And he's just looking down at Logan, and Logan is kind of getting back up and collecting the other markers that have scattered. And you hear Justin say, seriously, it's like you're hammered in all wrong or something. Do you know what happens to nails when they're hammered in all crooked, loser? What would you like to do?
Kyle stands up. But the camera sees him stand up, but they don't see like the 5 seconds before where he's just like, and just like starts to sweat and is like thinking inwardly about the things that he's learned at the karate dojo, and then decides to stand up. but doesn't say anything. And then sort of starts to mumble at Logan and tries to help him up.
I think Aiton kind of pops her head up over the thing and just says really softly, not like shyly, but she just says this very soft voice, "Hey, that's really mean. Stop it."
As Aiton is picking her head up over, Luz is already like scrambling over the tops of the seats to like land either next to or in front of Kyle and like try to snatch the sketchbook back. Just not even like just to me like, "Hey, that's not yours."
Yeah.
I think there's a moment as you're climbing up, even though there are multiple people up already right now, there's a moment as you're climbing up, "Luz, sit!" The bus driver is just shouting from the front, oblivious to most of what is happening over here, just knows to be watching for you. And Justin like looks up at Kyle as you stand up and is like,
I look away, but I'm still standing. I look down. I don't look at his eyes.
and you just hear, "Sit down, Karate Kyle." And that is when Luz kind of makes her way over. You want to snatch the book?
Yeah.
Okay, I am gonna have you roll for that probably. What would you like to roll?
I'm rolling agility to see if I'm faster than this stupid older kid.
While that's happening, I think
Smart.
you hear a voice from like the mid back of the bus as Ness stays very much seated, but goes, "Guys," probably at the same time as the bus driver, "Luz, sit down. It's not safe. We need to sit. The bus is in motion. Justin, you're not being very friendly to your fellow man, and Logan, you can't sit on the floor."
Luz got an 11 to snatch the book back.
Just imagine if this is what it was like on an actual school bus, how safe you would feel. If like
safe.
anyone got bullied and everyone's like, "Hey,
Hey!
stop bullying!" Like
Came out of
Listen.
the
nowhere.
world would be so much better.
We play TTRPGs to bring our dreams to life, goddammit.
that we
It's true.
want.
Heal our
It's
inner
true.
childs.
Listen up, nerds. You could all be Karate Kyle.
Nervous, looking at the ground, not doing anything.
While a
Baby.
smaller child goes
Yeah.
feral in front of you.
Yeah, but just that
Perfection.
one person standing up sparked all of this. Just throwing that out there.
That's right, you too. Can do it.
Yeah, so you do. I rolled a 3. So tell me how he's like flipping through this book. He's on his knees in the seat facing backwards, so he's not standing in the aisle or anything, but he's standing there flipping through this thing. What do you do, Luz?
Luz, like, almost like a flyby, snatches it and, like, jumps and lands down next to Kyle. Or not Kyle, I'm sorry, down next to Logan. And, like, drops it in his lap. And then turns and puts tiny, like, Luz is truly maybe the smallest kid in class. And turns and puts her little hands on her hips and goes, "What's up with you? Why are you such a jerk?"
He's laughing like overly loud and is like, "Oh my god, you're all weirdos," and just sits down in the seat at this point.
I'd probably be saying under my breath, Sensei Trujillo says that we should practice pacifism and we should find nonviolent solutions. No one's probably hears him, but he's saying that to himself while he's standing up looking at the ground.
And you said you were helping Logan up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Logan is up, has collected his things, and is now kind of just like eyes scanning for another seat.
I think Uzo's gonna scoot over and like land her book in his lap, and she's drawn different ways to hammer in a nail that are not the conventional ways. So like it doesn't actually need to be perpendicular to the surface. There are a lot of ways, there are many traditions of carpentry that suggest that an angle is actually better.
I think he sits down and is like looking at what you've kind of sketched out for him, and he kind of shrugs, and he says that to me all the time. It doesn't really bother me anymore. My dad says that none of us are hammered and crooked, not even bullies. Everyone's exactly how they're supposed to be.
I think Justin is wrong. I don't think he's hammered correctly. But I do think that's very sweet.
Thanks. And he kind of like looks over to Kyle, who, are you still standing up
I'm
awkwardly?
still
or have you-
standing. And I'm still standing. I don't know if Luz is still. I feel like until Luz goes back, or there's like not a fight going on, because I'm there to, follow the rules of the dojo. So I'll be there until Luz and Justin are no longer maybe confronting each other. But I'm standing, not looking at anyone, but just standing.
Justin has that very stereotypical bully demeanor right now where he's been loud, he's been noticed, and now he's like, whatever, and sits down and is breaking away from the situation. Like, I don't know what to do with conflict, so I'm gonna sit down now. It didn't work insulting you. So he does sit and kind of like retract himself from the situation unless Luz has anything to say about it.
Luz does.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Luz, seeing him like pull away from the situation, Luz has 6 older siblings who pick on them constantly. And Luz gets up in the seat next to Justin, not sitting on their bottom, crouched like a little gremlin, and just stares at him. Like, just not touching. Very obviously I'm not touching you, but like just staring. Not saying a thing, just fucking staring at this kid. You wanted attention, motherfucker, now you have it.
You just hear him like, what do you want? What do you want, weirdo? Go sit with your friends.
Aren't you my friend?
God, no.
Oh, okay. That's great.
Get
Why
out of
did
here.
you try to like yell and get attention then? What's your deal? What's your deal?
What's my deal? What's your
Yeah,
deal?
what's your
You're
deal?
coming to...
I asked you first.
He kind of looks up and is like, they won't get out of my seat.
This is a
And
perfectly viable seat.
the bus driver looks up and is like, on your butt, Luz.
Fine. Luz sits on their butt.
Oh,
Kyle, under his breath again, says, Sensei Trujillo says that anyone who's within 5 feet of each other should be sparring.
Okay.
Meaning, no, I mean that. Shit.
Luz has heard from their parents and from their older siblings that bullies usually don't have good home lives, and that's why they bully kids, and they don't have any kind of a filter. So they're like, what's your home life like? Are your parents mean to you? Are your siblings mean to you? Is that why you feel the need to act out?
Yikes! Oh no!
Just like being an absolute little monster.
you have
Can
taunt?
everyone hear this?
Al gets ready.
Luz has one volume and it's loud.
Okay, great.
Do you have anything in taunt, Luz?
Fuck no.
You know what? I'm gonna make a roll for him instead.
Break his spirit.
Yeah.
Break it.
Yeah, freaking spirit roll, yo.
So the moment you bring up home life, you see his face kind of you see his face harden a little bit. There was something to that. But he turns, looks at you, kind of leans a little bit closer, and is like, just because you have a million siblings and you don't get any attention doesn't mean I'm gonna give it to you. Get out of my seat.
I'm watching their hands.
That stings. And Luz kind of freezes as close to them as they can get. And then really, really impulsively says, at least my siblings love me. And then gets out of the seat. Walks away.
I think there's a moment where Kyle's still standing in the aisle and you get out of the seat and you're kind of face to face for a moment.
Oh, hey.
I just step to the side.
Cool. You should teach me karate sometime. I really want to learn.
Sensei Trujillo says that you should learn from a black belt. I'm only a 2nd degree blue belt. So,
That's so boring. I don't want to go to class. I don't want to sit in more class. I want to do things. And they move back to their seat away from Kyle, who has disappointed them.
Yeah, Kyle doesn't say anything. He's lives up to his reputation of being boring.
When you get back to your seat, you Ness is there and she's doing like a weird like hover, like you do when you're using a public toilet, because she doesn't want to stand up and get yelled at. So they're like half up and they're like straining with it. They're like leaning on the back of the seat. And as you kind of come in, they put a sticker. It's like a little tree, like a little fancy like pine tree sticker on you that has like an S on it. It's like one of their scout stickers. They're like, so listen, I know you did your best. And that's, one of the major rules of scouting is you got to do your best. So you did show an interest in your fellow student. You asked about his home life, which, while it did sound sarcastic, seemed well intended. So I give you the sticker because you were very impressive, and I think you're getting better. But at the same time, maybe you shouldn't yell people's private secrets, because you're supposed to be kind, and that wasn't very kind. But he wasn't kind first, so like maybe it's fine. It's probably fine.
This is awesome. Thank you.
Yeah,
and
no
they,
problem.
Like, leap over the back and like give you a hug.
Yeah, they welcome it like wholeheartedly. They're like super pumped. And they just like go on for like the next, I mean, whether you listen to them or not, they're going to go on about like all of the different ways that you could have done that to like be your best scout self, even though you're not a scout.
Luz tries to listen so hard and immediately gets distracted by taking the sticker you've given them and putting it in the back of a book that's been in their backpack. And you can see like whatever number of stickers you've given them over the time, all of them end up in the back of that book. It is definitely a library book that they have no intention of returning.
Yeah, like she's gonna talk whether you listen, because she is used to this. She knows that you're gonna turn. You're probably gonna start talking to Aiton. She's just like, yeah. So then anyway, made a whole list, tears it out of the field notes, hands it to you. And there's like a reminder of the 12 scout laws like written out, and then it says like number 13, TBD, and hands it over.
The list also goes in the book with like probably multiple other lists that you've given me over the school year.
Mm-hmm.
The book is getting hard to close.
If this is within earshot and eye shot of Uzo, Uzo's gonna lean over the top of the bench and say, the 13th rule should be stupid games win stupid prizes.
Oh, that's that's really good. Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta make a new list. And you see them just kind of like happily like, do you also make lists?
Oh, I've got tons of lists. Most of them are material based, but I got them.
You use graph paper for that's like next level. Graph paper for your lists. You can write any which way you want.
Yes, horizontal and vertical.
Oh, you never run out of room. I could save so much paper, and then I could save the environment, which is important because the animals need somewhere to live. And right now, deforestation is a bigger problem than you think. The bees are dying.
It's in shambles. I know. That's why I think the solution is space. I'm working on it.
Man. I mean,
Logan kind of perks up at that and is like, I like space. Look. And kind of pulls out his notebook and is like slipping around to like a diagram he's drawn himself of the solar system.
A notebook with no lines? That's chaos.
It's a sketchbook, and kind of like looks down.
Oh, like for drawing leaf types that you find.
Sure.
A spaceship can be a leaf.
Well, I mean, a leaf is an aerodynamic shape. It's built so that the wind goes over it and it can float on the leaves. I mean, on the wind, and like, then it gets buried in the ground. And I don't know if you've ever seen a little pod. They have a little seed, and they start going on about like all this scientific trash about how seeds repopulate in pollination.
Logan like listens to that for a second and doesn't seem to follow it entirely, but then like listens super intently, and then once you finished, looks to both like Uzo beside him and then over at Ness and was like, what's your favorite planet?
That's tough. What are we using them for?
That question like blows his mind. Using them. Just which one do you like the best?
Pluto's the best. It's still a planet in my heart.
I guess. Saturn's got rings. It's got jewelry already. It's like its ears are already pierced. It's kind of hardcore. It's kind of badass.
Saturn's really pretty. I like Mars because it's red.
Yeah.
But Jupiter has big, like, storm clouds and stuff.
That's true.
And, like, an eye.
It's the biggest one.
Yeah, they're really cool.
Yeah, but like
Also,
we start
if-
talking about new planets, like I gotta learn all the new shit that's on the planet. The new stuff that's on
Whoa.
the planet.
You said the shit word. Got it.
My brother's been saying it a lot. He's getting ready to go to college, and he says he has to be cool, so he's been practicing his swearing.
I think it is cool. It's very cool.
My siblings say shit a lot, but also they're like 20, so
Yeah, don't say that in front of Anna and Baba. They will be very
no,
upset with
never,
you.
never.
In front of a parent? I didn't. Why did I would?
Have you heard
would
Raj
never.
talk? They have a bad habit. They're trying to break him of it.
Raj is so cool, though.
I know. Stupid Raj.
You're cool too. Hey, just because Raj is cool doesn't mean you can't be cool. You're the coolest. You're so like smart and brave and fun, and I'm glad you're my best friend.
I
It's
turn
true.
just like hugs around the shoulders.
With that hug, the bus kind of slows down. You hear the brakes squeaking, and Logan like looks around and stands up because it's his stop. And as he's gathering up all of his stuff, he makes sure to make eye contact with like everyone who stepped in. He looks at Uzo, he looks at everybody he's been talking to
Look
as
at the
well.
ground. I don't look at
And
him.
he says thank you to everybody, and then he stops at Kyle's seat and taps you on the shoulder.
I look at his shoes. I look at him and I look at his shoes.
I just wanted to know what your favorite planet was.
It says looking at his shoes. The Earth, because the moon's there, and the moon's very calming.
That's
you
really
see him.
cool.
You see him grip something in his pocket.
Yeah, Logan just says, that's really cool. And then turns and begins walking to exit the bus. And I'm going to say, Kyle and Uzo, you are still close enough to where you see Justin beginning to stick his leg out to try to trip Logan.
Wait.
I would like to. Actually, this is better. This is the least more non-violence. I will just kind of like grab the back of Logan's shirt, pull him back for a second, so that he sees the leg, if I can.
Absolutely, yeah. Kind of yank him back, and he's like, whoa. And you point down to the leg. Thanks. Excuse me, Justin. And Justin, like, scoots the leg out of the way, and Logan walks through. You watch his little head disappear as he leaves the bus, and you watch him walk over to his home. And the bus engine, like, roars again as it begins picking up speed. And the ride continues.
I'd say that while everyone was talking and being friends, inside of Kyle's mind, you hear him answer all of the questions that everyone was asking, but he doesn't say it out loud. And in his mind, he wants to ask Ness about where their brother's going to college, because maybe it's the same college that his sister went to, but he does not ask any of these questions, and he stays silent.
Uzo's gonna turn to Luz and say, I think you would benefit from this machine. And it's the like pop-up thing that they were drawing earlier. It's kind of like a car seat, but you can jump on it. And it doesn't actually keep you seated or safe. It keeps you actually in the air and dangerous. But it seems like something that would apply to you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Do you know where to get big springs for it?
Yes, but I have to ask my mom to order that kind of stuff. I've tried, and I like have her credit card information memorized, but she finds out. so fast when I do that.
Yeah. Moms
So-
have like a sense for stuff like that. I don't know how they do it.
I don't know either.
What other things have you made? Have you like built things before?
All the time.
Can I
They're all-
see?
Well, they're in my room because I'm not allowed to build while vehicles are moving anymore, but I could show you.
Yeah, I want to see. Or if you have drawings of them, I'd love to see those too. I just like seeing what people make because I don't have the patience to make things. Mom says that my brain is going too fast for my hands.
That's impossible. Your brain has to go faster than your hands. How do your hands know what to do next?
I know. Doesn't make any sense. Mom says a lot of things that I don't really understand. I think she just gets tired of me, so she just tells me to go do something else, and that's okay because I get tired of her talking, and then it's fine because I can go outside.
That's synergy.
I don't know what that means, but that sounds like a cool word.
It is.
I10, do you know what synergy means?
It's like when things come together, right? Yeah. I think I
That's
read it in a book while I was in the hospital.
You're so freaking smart, dude.
At that, I think I10 will kind of stand up and start to scooch past you, or well, I feel like it's probably easy enough because you're hopping around and whatever. And she'll make her way back and sit next to Kyle, her legs swinging on the bench. I have gift
explodes.
of gab.
Oh no.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm I10.
Kyle looks at the ground, I guess at where I10's shoes would be, but there's only one shoe. And then feels like it sort of gets embarrassed because like they think that I'm looking at their leg that's not there, and then sort of like then looks up at the ceiling and is like, "Hi, I'm Kyle Bird."
That's a cool name.
He looks really confused at that.
I liked your answer that the Earth was your favorite planet. I like it too. That's where my family is and all my friends.
Yeah.
What do you do? What do you like doing?
I do karate.
Really? I think I've seen that in movies and stuff.
Yeah. Do you know Jackie Chan?
Uh-huh.
He does karate.
What's your favorite movie with Jackie Chan in it?
Looks like he's getting nervous, and he's like, there's a bunch of movies sort of like flying in front of his.
Yeah, that moment when
front of
someone
his mind
asks
right
what
now.
movie you like and you know no
Yeah.
movies all of a sudden, and you're like,
Yeah.
Uh,
I've never seen in my life.
he says, "Police out, rush hour."
I don't think my parents have let me watch that one. Is it really good?
It's pretty good.
Cool.
My sister liked it.
You have a sister? Is she older or younger?
She's older. She went to college,
Cool.
so yeah. We used to. Never mind.
No, you should tell me. What were you gonna say?
We used to watch kung fu movies in the basement, and we'd jump off the couch.
That's fun. So like kicks and stuff.
yeah, more like, and he starts like his movements very confident. He starts like going through some stuff. He's like kind of like this, and just like kind of going through some like forms and like sort of explaining like a flip and stuff. And yeah.
That's really cool.
Can I roll like a spirit? Because Kyle wants to say something, but I don't think he has like. I want him to try to roll spirit to see if he can actually say it.
Oh.
They're both ones.
That is a critical failure. So,
Okay.
Oh.
In Kyle's mind, he wanted to talk about what Uzo and Luz were talking about before, about how your body can't move faster than your mind, and he wanted to say that Sensei Trujillo, that's one of the things you learn in karate is to not think and to just react. So there is a way where your body can move faster than your mind, but he doesn't say it.
I think you're like remembering that being said to you, and you just kind of turn and look out the window, and Aiton, you just see like a complete zone out.
I think that at that point, the full zoning out, she sits there for a minute just swinging her legs and like kind of listening to the chatter everywhere else, and then maybe makes eye contact with Luz, who's like, why did you leave or something? And she'll be like, okay, well, I like hearing about karate. I hope I see you over the summer break. We're usually out and about with my dog, and so if you ever see us, you should come say hi.
He doesn't say anything, but you see an inhaler come out slowly, and he goes,
Oh, do you have an inhaler? And Luz is like hanging over the back of their chair, like stretched across Ness's, and like has their little arms propped up on the back of, or the chair in front of you. My brother has an inhaler too.
Luz. One seat.
No.
Your butt. Now.
Ah. And Luz slowly like shimmies their little butt down and then leans as far as they can into the aisle to try and look at Kai.
Since Kyle rolled so poorly, he doesn't talk, he doesn't speak, but he turns the inhaler to the side, and you see the name Lizzie written on the side of it, and then he puts it back in his pocket.
Are you doing drugs?
He just like automatically gets so red, and he's like, no. No.
You're not supposed to take medicine meant for other.
He does it again, he's, no, that, this is my sister's arm. It's empty.
Oh, it's like a comfort thing.
The sort of looks away at that and doesn't say anything and gets closer to the window.
That's cool. Is your sister tall or short?
I think he might be a little overstimulated. So many people are talking to him right now. So I think he tries to pull down the window to like stick his head out the window if he can.
I-10 will take the hint and just like, okay, I'll see you later, and then walk back up to Luz between the seats.
Starts doing circle breathing. 4 in, hold, 4 out, hold, 4 in.
I think Ness walks up, just very briefly, like squats at like a red light, and passes you a note, and on it is like 5 ways to be more confident, and like a little website at the bottom where you can find more tips. And they kind of just like wink at you. It worked for me.
This is the worst day of Kyle's life. Have they reached his bus stop yet? If not, he'll get off when the bus stops net, even if it's not his house, and he'll get his bike.
It has a little gold sticker on it, though. It's not bad.
Yeah,
it has like a little.
He keeps it, but he's just completely red, and you could see his breathing is going a lot faster than normal. The social stuff is not his deal. And yeah, the next bus stop he will get off.
So the bus slows down, comes to a stop. Justin stands up and kind of like, now that he is leaving the bus, he looks over and is like, "Later, fucking nerds." And the bus driver is like, "Justin," and he walks out.
I get up and follow, and in my mind, saying to myself, Sensei Trujillo says that you should honor and respect your peers.
Bye, Kyle.
Off.
Bye, Kyle.
You see
flipping him off.
You see his eyes sort of flick back at you, saying goodbye, and just his eyes go wide, and just like his really good posture sort of hunches, and then he just gets off faster.
You see that Luz had a shoe in their hand and was getting ready to throw it at Justin as he left, but he got off the bus way too quickly for them. So they're trying to like wrestle their shoe on while they're saying bye to you.
Love that. Though from appearances, it looks like Kyle did not have a good time, and this made him very nervous. This was the most anyone has ever talked to him, and it is a good thing, but he can't handle it. And yeah, he gets off and then goes and gets his bike.
So are you guys coming over after, or are we going to meet up later?
I don't think I'm supposed to be home for a while. Or like, not that I'm not supposed to be there, but like no one's expecting me to be there. So I can come over.
My mom's out of town for a business trip, and my dad is at work until 6 p.m. So as long as I'm home before 6 p.m., I mean, I'm going to have to call him and tell him. But as long as I'm home by 6 p.m., I might be able to get when the streetlights come on, because I've been very good this month. So I might get, an extension.
Awesome. Well, you should come over and we can go play in the back. And I've been teaching Yaz new tricks, and we can, And Anne is probably making something delicious because it's the end of school. So, yeah.
I'm not done cataloging all the shrubs in your backyard, so I think that'll be good.
Yay.
Yeah, and I'll try and get to the top of the tree. I've never made it there yet. It gets too wobbly at the top, but I think I can do it.
Yeah, I don't tell Baba, but I found out where he kept the ladder. So as long as they don't catch us, I think we can get you to the top this time.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can see like the gears working in Nessa's head as like she's trying to decide if she would rather hold the ladder so that Luz can go up in the tree, or if like they need to be in the tree to be closer to nature.
Well, they would know I-10 would be holding the ladder because she's not as proficient a climber. So you can both go in the tree.
Somebody's got to be the lookout.
Yeah.
You can't hold the ladder and look out.
I guess. But that's what Yaz is for.
Yaz is so smart.
That's true.
Wait, Uzo. Have you ever made like a climbing thing? Like a thing that helps you climb?
Oh, or moon boots that help you jump up into the tree.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you get these metal spikes and you solder little bits on them, and then you put rubber bands on them so your feet are like suspended. Yes, I could, but I need a source of fire, or I need to go home first. But I can
A source of fire. I have, and like you see, like they're like rummaging around in their backpack, and they pull out like a flint kit.
Good.
I've got you covered.
Yes. Good. I have, and she pulls out like she has like a little, those like metal can forges, those like 5-minute forges you see on YouTube.
Oh my god.
She has one in her backpack. It's like,
Of course.
we can do this now. Like,
Well, you should come over. If you can. I mean, if that's okay. Anne won't mind. She always makes extra anyway.
Oh, I can, yeah. I can build at other people's houses. It just can't be in a yeah, I can, yeah. I'll go. I'll be there. We'll be there.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. That's already really good summer.
So, I think if there's a way I could use a stop to like sprint in my house and get back on the bus.
If you say that, there will absolutely be a way for you to do that.
Okay, good. I just need like 3 minutes.
Okay, I can figure that out. I got 3 minutes of material.
You got a tight 3. Okay, good.
When you get off the bus, Ness goes up to the front. Sorry, we're not moving, so it's okay for me to be up here with you. I just wanted to ask how are your succulents?
I want some sort of role, whether it be like performance, persuasion.
I will do persuasion is what I will do, because I'm trying to butter this person up. I am that child that has really great relationships with the lunch lady and the bus driver. We are on a first name basis. I call the bus driver Mr., Ms., or Mix, and then their first name. Very respectful. So I'm just there talking to them, having a great conversation about soil and aeration, and I'm showing them diagrams of all the things I've drawn from Iton's backyard. That's a 5.
So I think yeah, the bus driver is definitely like has this like super old name patch as well. It looks like it was probably for something else that was then patched onto this uniform instead. You call him Mr. Riley. Buses are not very large. I think he heard a lot of the conversation that was happening previously and kind of sees what's happening. So fully plays into this conversation. Not that he doesn't enjoy speaking with you, because he clearly does. Like, he's very engaging in the conversation, but he definitely is, even if the conversation is not going anywhere or where exactly you wanted it to, he's waiting for Uzo to get back.
You can see Uzo like run to her house, credit card the door, because fuck if she's gonna keep track of a key. And like through the windows of her house, like run through the hallway, and then in the bedroom, like fairly just scraping off the desktop into a backpack and sprinting out of the house immediately back on the bus, like thumping up the bus stairs. I got it. I got everything.
I think we see all of that in a like out of focus shot too. Like, we're looking at Ness, but Ness is just blurry, and we see the background of the house of just moving through the windows and everything, and then sprinting back out all the way back up.
Lucis had their face pressed against the window across I-10, and like is like counting 1, 2, 3, 57, 58, 59, and
What'd I do?
59 seconds. That was awesome.
So anyway,
Yeah.
it was really nice talking to you today, and I hope that you have a great summer. And I hand them, I have like a little succulent sticker that I just like put on the mirror of the big mirror of the bus. I'm like,
And there's like 6 on it already, and yeah.
they're the nice puffy kind. Like, I saved them just for Mr. Riley.
He cherishes them. All right. First, I would like to cut over to Kyle. I guess, where do we see you approaching, and what does it look like when you get there?
I'd say he is riding his bike, and he does stop outside the house, but he sees that both of his parents' cars are there, and he hears them arguing. So he gets back onto his bike, and then he drives over to the rec center. And I'm pretty sure the dojo is open. I don't know if there's necessarily classes going on, but I feel like it's open most of the time. So he would go over to the rec center and chain up his bike, take his backpack, and go in and see if Sensei Trujillo's there, or at least if he can just use the room.
Yeah, I think this would be a day where definitely nothing's going on, but the room is open for anyone to come in and use it as they see fit. So you can definitely come in and practice whatever you'd like, but no instructor is actually here.
Okay. Yeah, he'd go in there and would first notice all of the things that Uzo has fixed in here over the times of Sensei Trujillo needing things fixed, like the little TV cart thing, and like the little speaker sound system, and other things. And he would probably take out a notebook that has what he needs to complete to do the to get his yellow belt, and starts just practicing that, and mostly practicing his, I'm gonna say this wrong, his ibuki, his breathing technique. He will start practicing that while doing all of the things that he needs to practice to get his yellow belt.
For reasons, need to know, how long are you staying here tonight?
As late as they let me. I don't want to go home. So I guess whenever they decide to close it, I leave, like, I don't know, a few minutes before. Yeah.
Okay, shifting over, we see the bus stop, and we see 4 kids come off this bus. Aiton, what house are we approaching?
So the Ayad house has, first and foremost, a dog sitting out front because she refuses to go inside when she knows Aiten is coming home. She's a pretty big dog, kind of stocky in the chest, blonde fur with like a brown face. And she just sits there and waits for the bus. And as the camera kind of sees this, it starts on the dog watching the children, and then the dog starts to walk towards the bus. And we turn and we see the house, which is just the most, I guess, normal, quintessential American 3-bedroom house. Like, it's very boring. There's a fence, there's a very nice garden. Her father gardens. Big windows out front. Of course, Aloy would choose to make her appearance known in this moment.
Aloy's like, I heard
puppy
dog.
arrived.
That's me.
It is me. I am here. And over the front door, there is a blue bead with a white eye in it. Just over the top of the door, decorating it. And the dog just trots up to all the kids at the bus stop and just wags her tail, and just follows Aiten everywhere she goes.
Probably
Very friendly.
probably sniffs Uzo a little bit as a new person here.
Am I allowed to? I don't think I'm
Oh,
allowed
yeah.
to. Oh, yes.
She's a good girl.
Then full, like,
Yeah. Her name is Yaz. She's great.
yes.
She's one of my best friends. She does tricks now, though. We're working on jumping up on stuff, but Ane wants me to make sure she doesn't jump up on like the couch or whatever, but sometimes they're, in the other room, and sometimes she comes up on the couch. I'm not going to make her leave. That would be mean.
Oh, never. She's perfect.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I mean, she's perfect, but she's a terrible lookout. She can get distracted by treats so easily.
I mean, yeah, but she'll look out for me.
It's true. She does take really good care of Aiten. She's
Yeah.
like the smartest dog ever.
It's true.
And Luz is like on the ground with their skateboard like thrown off to the side, just like giving tummy scritches.
Yeah.
Did you say what type of dog Yaz is?
She is an Anatolian Shepherd, but they get up to like 150 pounds.
Yeah, they're
They
like
are
they're like
big
mastiff
dogs.
size.
Yeah.
dogs.
Yeah, they're big boys. You could. I am certain that Luz at some point has ridden this dog like a horse.
Very certain.
Yeah.
There have been
This has
several
happened.
times.
Yeah.
Big boy.
So Aiten makes her way inside. The door is unlocked. And Yaz is following close at her heels while getting scratches from everybody else. And she calls, Anne, we're home. And obviously it's we, not I. And you can smell, Turkish spices coming from the kitchen, as her mother is making dinner or like snacks or whatever.
Yeah, I think there's a moment of like, popping the head in to see everybody and is like, oh, we have an extra. That's okay. We will have plenty. And then there's just like more mumbling as we go back into the kitchen and the voice is kind of drowned out, still talking. But it's just very loud in the kitchen. A lot of things are happening. A lot of things are being prepared. And I think there's just a yell of, why don't you go out back and play for a little while?
Okay. And just straight out back. The house itself is very cozy. There's like, it's a weird mishmash of like American decorations, like North American decorations, and like Turkish rugs on the floor, and like beautiful like the gilded light shades and what have you. But it's just all really cozy and homey. And then she just straight out the back door into this big backyard where her baba like gardens and stuff. Aitan definitely pulls out all of the stuff she's been using to train Yaz with. So at least part of the evening is showing everyone how to like get her to jump over a pole and get her to stand on a little thing and like doing tricks and stuff.
I think part of like Nessa's parts of the montage, there's like a first part of the montage with them like scrambling up the ladder into the tree after Luz. There's like probably the next image you see of them is like bandaging up the various wounds Luz has gotten from standing on a branch that was too skinny and falling out of the tree. I think the next one is them like sitting next to Uzo, and the two of them kind of just spending some quiet time sketching, like just illustrating different things. Like clearly Ness is like cataloging like this one like extra long blade of grass that they found that could just be a new species, while you're like, oh, how can I make something that's going to just throw everybody up in the tree?
Yeah.
Yep. So I think that those are like the three little like bits that you see of Ness. And them calling their dad. They're like over in the corner, like away from everyone, and she's like on the phone for probably like too long. There's probably multiple back and forths where like children are playing, and then Ness being like, so then this happened at school, and then back to all the children.
Yes. I think that going from the moment where Uzo and Ness are sketching together, it's like Uzo was looking at the way that like the like leaf patterns are on the grass and trying to replicate that in like how pieces of metal are being attached to one another. There's a forge in your yard. I'm so sorry. That's so not right and legal, but it's happening. She is like making this like frame that in no way will be done in time to throw people into the tree, but is like basically this like crisscross like baby gate circle by the end of it, and it's maybe like 2 feet in diameter. Just like we just need to weave. We need a lot of elastic. If we weave it around, it's a little trampoline. And I made the bottom of it super sharp so we can stick it in the tree.
Luz is enraptured by watching the actual process of making this. At one point they were trying to help, but it got too like specific and delicate, and they kind of dropped off and started just kind of like marching around the yard thinking about all of the things that they're gonna be able to like jump off of. They have like there are like scrapes on their hands that that Ness has bandaged up. They've got like leaves in their hair and a couple like scrapes on their face. At some point they're trying to wrestle Yaz, even as I-10 is trying to get her to do like an actual trick. They're at one point just sprinting to get out any energy that they have, because everyone's like doing sit down things and they are not ready to sit down. it's a lot of like high energy bouncing from person to person.
I'd say that it's pretty standard what Kyle's doing. He's going through forums and everything, but I think every once in a while he's thinking back to the bus and just like how many people talked to him today, and he remembers, he's thinking about his sister Lizzie and like how similar she is to Luz, and like just like the rambunctiousness of them, and how 10 asked about him, which no one does, and how he wants to ask Ness about her brother and like the confidence stuff, and how Uzo is he really wants to tell her about the hands being faster than the mind thing, and just kind of keeps going back and forth, wishing that his sister would come back from college because it's really hard without her, and thinking, well, they're kind of in their own way, maybe they're kind of all kind of similar to Lizzie, so maybe they did invite me to hang out. And just sort of just keep kind of going back and forth, but decides just but he keeps thinking about it as he's finishing doing all of his practicing, and then it's lights out, time to go home.
What time do Ness, Luz, and Uzo leave Aiton's house?
Ness has been texting their dad the whole time with updates, so they can go home whenever they want because he knows exactly where she is.
I imagine my parents are used to having children stay for dinner and talking to other people's parents and being like, no, it's totally all right. They can stay for dinner. We have lots of things for them to eat, and like very much like, you know.
Yeah. Uzo's required her location to be on at all times, and that's been a rule for a long time now. So as long as no one comes to get her, she assumes it's okay.
Luz has a flip phone because their parents don't trust them with a phone with a screen.
Same.
Valid.
Kyle does too.
And has not touched the thing. It's been in the bottom of their bag. Certainly there are texts from parents being like, you know, you have to be home in an hour, right? They have it. They live like like next door across the street kind of thing, so they're not worried about it at all.
I have a feeling that Aiton's mother would have texted Luz's mom or dad or parent,
For sure.
and just being like, they're here, don't worry. We got him.
They've at this point they've all gotten like used to the way Luz communicates, which is poorly.
The phone is in the bag. I do not remember that the phone exists.
Yeah.
Yes. So the evening goes on. You have dinner. You're hanging out for a little while longer.
There's probably like some hangout time, but then maybe there's mosquitoes, and their mom is like, okay, it's time to come inside. It's getting cold, like whatever. And we probably head upstairs, is my guess.
Yeah.
Cool. What's that room look like?
It's pretty tidy, especially for a kid. But their mom keeps her on top of it because she doesn't want her tripping over stuff. So there's like pictures of them with their family traveling back to Turkey, all over the place. There's all sorts of books and stuff. There's like, you know, you can buy those little kits that are archaeological digs with like the little dinosaurs and stuff. There's stuff like that on the table. There's like, you can get like mystery kits, which comes with all sorts of things like that. There's a big dog bed in one corner that Yaz never sleeps in because she's always on the bed, but she's not supposed to be, but it doesn't matter. and just like all sorts of stuff. And the bedspread is like nice and tidy, but like nicely embroidered, and it's just cozy, you know. Big rug on the floor. And yeah, it's just cozy. It's not really particularly terribly special. But there are, I should note, some accessibility things, and kind of tucked in a corner, folded, is a wheelchair. But obviously she does not usually use it. She uses her prosthesis. But it is set up so that if the wheelchair were required, she could still navigate. Like, the desk is of a height that it makes sense. The house is also accessible with like a what's it called? Elevator? Like the little elevator?
Little lift
seat?
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seat.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I think we just see you hanging out for a little while, and then finally, you're not sure whose parent it was, but a parent had a decision somewhere that this was the time that the hangout was going to be over, and
Parents.
Dang it.
Ugh.
and you are all either picked up or in close enough distance to just walk home. It's definitely before the streetlights turn on. It is still light enough outside to see clearly, and you all head to your homes, except for probably Kyle, who's kind of waiting for the place to actually close rather than head out early. So you head to your homes. Ness, what sort of home do we see as you are approaching, and what does your room look like when you enter it?
So the home is just like a little single family home. It's one of the newer models in St. Louis, probably on the outskirts of town where there was more land to build up. They have a little backyard. The neighborhood has like a community pool that people can, stay in and play during the summertime and stuff, and like a little, community playground. It's very different than their apartment in New York. Their mom kind of splits her time between New York and St. Louis. And it's really kind of like strange that they're even living there. Their dad is from like a small town in Alabama, but originally lived in New York. So that's where they were living for a long time until their mom got this job that kind of takes her all over. So dad is a primary caregiver. He does all of his work remotely, so he's usually at home. I think when you walk in, small kitchen, the dining room and the living room is kind of just like one big space that they've kind of converted into a dining room and living room situation. Dad is working in the like back of the living room by the window, has like a little drafting table that he's, doing his job at as they walk in the house. Huge hug. I imagine both their brothers are probably on the floor playing video games or something and like wrestling and being stupid. And there's like a chorus of hellos when they walk in the door, and lots of questions about their day because they just go into like far too much detail about everything that's happened. So everyone already kind of knows, but they're like, so then what happened? And really? Justin again? Ugh, I'm so tired of that guy, right? Like, so I think they like kind of bounce up the stairs, and there's a room for their two brothers, which is like kind of haphazardly done since one of them is leaving. Daryl is going to be moving out for college in a couple of months. And they have their own room. And it's it's like covered in like pictures of them getting badges and like doing things that have gotten them badges. So there's like a picture of them like when they were really young shaking hands with President Obama, and there's like a picture of them like when they are, like even younger than that, kind of like on their brother's shoulders, like out in like their first hike, or like different things that are like parts of their life and stuff, and lots of pictures of their family. Around their desk there's lots of pictures of Aiton and Luz. And there's like a yoga mat on the floor because every day when they come home, they try to meditate to recenter, get all that like nervous energy out. Books are everywhere. Like on every surface, there's books, mostly nonfiction about, you know, like the forest and about, you know, animals and nature and biology and things like that. But there are some like Animorphs books like hidden underneath those. And like they have an older laptop that has a bunch of cool stickers on it and stuff that they use for all their research. And then there's just like piles of field notes books, like little field notes tabbies of all different sizes, like the big ones, like the really small pocket ones, pretty much like littered all over this room, like high on shelves, next to the bed, under the pillow, in the closet, sock drawer. Like every surface has at least one field notes book.
Amazing. Luz, what sort of house and room do we see as you arrive to your house?
Luz's house is pretty close to I-10's. It's kind of across the road. It's not super big, especially for the size of the family that lives there. Their front yard is littered with like bikes and sports equipment and, you know, all kinds of like toys. And it's gotten a little less as their siblings have gotten older and moved out. I think only one or two of their siblings is still living at home. Yeah, or three of their siblings still live at home. The twins and their closest sibling, the twins are getting ready to go to college. Their closest sibling is in high school. And they're all kind of doing all their own sports things. Inside is just as chaotic. It's hard to keep the house clean with 7 kids coming in and out as they will. So there are like stacks of magazines on the coffee table, and there's always like at least 3 sounds on. There's usually some kind of like soccer game on, someone's playing music somewhere, and another person's watching like a YouTube video or whatever in the other corner. So it's always loud. People are always like talking over each other. Luz somehow scored having their own room when their older siblings moved out. And it is a chaotic mess, as one would expect. There are clothes everywhere. There are toys everywhere. There's like a little like Shira doll kind of like laying in the middle of the floor. There's like jars of like dirt that no one knows what the dirt is from, but Luz is like, this is important dirt. They have some of the notes from I-10 and Ness kind of like slapped on the wall as decoration. All of their actual decorations are hand-me-downs from their older siblings, as are most of their clothes and bed sheets and blankets, and like everything has come from at least one person before them. And in one corner there's like a small pile of like nuts and bolts and like different wheels and bearings and whatever for different modes of transportation that they switch out on their skateboard sometimes.
Incredible. And Uzo, when you arrived to your house, since we only saw it from a distance before, as you're sprinting through the windows, as we actually get to see it, what does this house look like?
It is, I think it's very, very small, like built in the 50s sort of space. I mean, it's like the architecture itself is like very much conventional American suburban house. But the inside there's a very specific aesthetic of Black parents that is a lot of earth tones, a lot of like zebras and elephants, and like wood carved like sculptures and things. That is immediately in the living room. There's a couple of family photos, a few of them, but there's like a small section of a wall that's just like her brother, like on the news, but not even like him on the news currently. It's like him like doing a home video of him, like just like describing the weather in front of that same house, and like a comparison to him now on like Channel 5 or something. The kitchen is perpetually cooking and holding and like prepping food. There's something in that process. There is now significant like dirt track from her running in earlier that goes from the front door down the hallway into her room. There are little like fingerprints covered in like polish or paint or something from her that clearly get larger in size and higher up the wall, that shows that she's been doing this for a while. Instead of like marking her height, it's the stains that she leaves. And in her room is just like a mess. A not even organized mess. It is a mess of supplies and tools that she should not have. There is something that used to be a bed and is now where we put fragile things that can't be supported by themselves yet. And like a workstation that has this huge light over it. That's probably the only thing that's like well lit in the room, is the work table. And then there's like posters of like a certain company that keeps making superhero movies all the time, that are all over the walls. And yeah, and then probably like a dirty clothes hamper that is more mountain of clothes than hamper. It's probably like 2/3 clothes, 1/3 hamper.
Amazing. And Kyle, a couple more hours goes by and they're finally closing up. It's probably something that happens quite often that you're there until close, and you gather up your stuff, you go get your bike, and you begin riding home.
I probably look at my flip phone, which has 2 individual texts from each of my parents. I respond in the group text, which they never respond in, to let them both know, because if I tell them individually, then that'll probably start something. So I let them know in the group text that I'm coming home.
And as you're riding down the street or the sidewalk, kind of like going in between, it is getting a little darker. The street lights do come on as you're about halfway home, and there's a familiar smell in the air. It smells like how it smells after a storm. Even though there was no storm today. There are no clouds in the sky, but it smells like how it smells after a storm. Almost like the streets should be wet, but they're not. And it's just consistent as you're riding.
That's nice.
And we just hear the bike as you pull over to your house. What home are we approaching, and what does it look like inside?
This is wild, but I got such a specific image in my head, and I don't know why I have this. But it's like this white wood paneling house, 2-story sort of thing, but the front entrance is this like stairs that lead up to the 2nd story, not the 1st story. Like maybe the 1st story has like a garage or something. So like sort of the 70s white paneling. And I would say there's a door that leads to the basement part of the house, and he takes that instead because he sees the light is on in the 2nd floor. He sees 2 cars are home. And he goes into the sort of like basement 1st floor half, and goes in, that leads into the like bottom sort of basement area, which is kind of like the kids' space. And it's just like this really big open layout thing, maybe like one pillar that should not be there, a white painted walls, carpet on the floor, like a beige carpet on the floor, and there's various like rolling mats and things, and maybe like one of those big red like punching bag things that has like a little black base. It's not hung up, and there's like a TV and then a bunch of movies and like a couple bean bags scattered throughout here. Both of his parents work, so they're not home during the day. And both of his sister's bedroom and his bedroom are down here. And he sends a text to the group chat letting them know I'm like home. And he walks over and sort of looks in his sister's room. It's exactly how she left it. And then walks over to his room. Very neat. Bed is made. Very sparse walls. There's like 2 posters. There's a karate poster, and then there's like some generic kung fu movie poster. All of his belts and other gis are very well folded on top of the dresser. He has a little alarm clock. Not really much else in his room, but he goes back into the living room area, sits down in a beanbag chair, and puts in a kung fu movie.
All right. And all of you eventually settle wherever it is that you sleep, Uzo. And we see our characters falling asleep. The camera kind of pans over to a clock, probably a little like one of those just digital like alarm clocks at the side of the bed. We see the time beginning to move forward as night fully comes, and we see the clock says 12:57 a.m. and that is where it stops and watches. The 5 of you in separate houses, in your own beds or places where you're sleeping, you wake up with a sharp intake of breath. You sit straight up from a dead sleep, sweat covering your foreheads, stomachs tight and sick, but only for a moment. Because then you see a really bright light beginning to shine through each of your windows. You just see the light coming in. You're not sure why you're feeling sick. You're not sure why you're sweating, but you see this light.
I get out my
Goes to
notebook.
the window
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just grab the closest like T-square on the desk and just like reach out for it.
Yeah, I think Aiton would hop into the wheelchair that is kept beside her bed at night and just kind of roll over to the window and peek out.
Go off the side of my bed, stand up, walk over, and look outside.
I think it's safe to say that Luz probably gets to the window first. Just jolts up, sees the light, spills out of bed, goes over.
As close as
out.
possible to the window.
Yeah, it takes a moment for your eyes to adjust. Like you just shove the curtains out of the way. It's just bright light shining through. And as you're able to focus, you see the light is coming from Logan's house. It is shining out of every single window of Logan's house. It's white and bright, and then as all of you are able to look at it now at this point, you see the white fade into a terrible green tint. Just as bright though, shining just as bright. And then it shifts to red. Just as bright once again. It's almost like pulsing every time it changes color, pushing out of this house in a way that doesn't make sense. And you can almost hear it? No, that doesn't make sense, but it's getting louder. It's like a hum and a scream all at once, and you just see this light pushing. It's almost like it's filling your room. You can see the room itself getting brighter and brighter in a way that light doesn't travel. And then you feel your homes begin to shake, and you realize after a moment of probably confusion, this is an earthquake. You feel the house rumbling and shaking. Things are moving off of the shelves. You can hear everything, just this terrible, terrible rumble. You've been taught what to do in case of an earthquake, and you rip your eyes away from the light that is now beginning to, as the earth is beginning to shake, the light is fading, almost like it's being sucked back into this house. It's not even a fade, it's just gradually pulling back into this house. What would you like to do?
Oh, you see Ness reach underneath their bed, like rummage for like 0.2 seconds. They pull out a hard hat. They go into the door frame of their room. They like scream out to their brothers, "Earthquake! Earthquake! Get to your safety positions! Dad, seriously!" And then like they get into their like door frame and they're like, "Daryl, get in the bathtub or something, guys!" And they're looking around like, is anyone gonna fucking wake up? They start like, they pull out their cell phone. They're like trying to call people. Like, is there an earthquake? I think that Aiton and Luz definitely get a text message, "Safety positions!" And then a picture of them in their hard hat. Like,
Yeah, with that, what do we see Aiton and Luz do?
I think Aiton's door is equipped with an automatic opener button. Her parents went hard on making the house as accessible as possible. So she opens it up and kind of parks in the doorway. And she's just shouting down the hall for them to, like, she can't go, like, she feels like it's probably unsafe to use the elevator during an earthquake, but, like, you know, so she's just hanging out.
Luz can't entirely remember what they're supposed to do in an earthquake. They know it's something about not being crushed. So I think their first instinct is to just throw the window open and like topple outside. Onto the front lawn. And just like look up, because they do remember about power lines for some, like that's the one thing they remember, like if you're outside, don't be near power lines. So they're looking up for power lines. And then they just sit on the grass and kind of just ride it out, honestly.
I don't know what I was expecting to hear from you, but diving out your window was not what.
never let Ness know.
Incredible.
They will take
No.
back every sticker. Do not.
No, Luz will.
Just lie to them.
They will. She's like
Good plan.
she's doing a thing where she like tries to stand up during the earthquake and then it'll like tremble a little more, so she'll sit back down, but then like try and stand back up.
Oh, I have a question. What is Yaz doing? Because she usually sleeps on my bed.
Oh yeah,
She's like
probably-
freaking out.
There's loud barking. It's actually probably like you probably think the bark is what woke you up. Because she was barking long before it started shaking.
Yeah.
And now is just like over like right at one wheel, probably like pressed up against this wheelchair and just
Yeah.
kind
Like,
of
what is
whining,
it?
barking, yeah, freaking out.
So I guess he probably has a desk in his room. Probably would go under the desk, and if he could, still, if he has a vantage point looking out or seeing what he can see out the window. Also, does he hear anything? Like he probably
Yes-
leaves the
yes and
window
no.
cracked a little bit.
The sound that he's hearing doesn't seem to be, it doesn't matter if the window's open, it doesn't matter if the window's closed. The sound almost seemed to be coming from the light itself that was shining through. It's like a humming and a screaming, but it's hard to pinpoint.
Okay, strange. Yeah, under desk.
Okay.
Uzo was barely awake when they like moved the curtain with their T-square. So once the earth starts shaking, they're like, "Oh no, the children," and gets all of the very fragile
Children.
inventions on her bed
Oh.
and just scoops them up in her hand. It's like, "I'll keep you safe," and goes under the bed and just holding her inventions and like half sleep and just like, the earth is shaking. We're okay. Everyone's okay. And is waiting it out. I think maybe even like talking through what an earthquake is. And it's like, we don't know what the tectonic plates are doing, but something's happening.
They're causing mischief.
And there are moments, I think it'll be your discretion whether or not any parents or siblings make it to you. But you do hear the shouting of other people in your homes. They seem to. It was definitely the shaking that woke them up, not the light or whatever any of this other stuff was. But it is the shaking that woke them up, and they're shouting out "earthquake!" like they're the one that figured it out instead of you. And there are, siblings rushing to door frames, and it's just chaos inside of this house for a solid. It feels like forever, but this lasts probably 10, 11 seconds, and then just abruptly stops. And I'll say, Kyle, as your attention is still on that window, you're watching the light move back into Logan's house slowly, 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 and then as it's sucked back in, that is when the earth stops shaking.
Aiton's parents converge on her very quickly. Must put the child in the bubble wrap. Just like checking her over and like, oh, it's aggressive. Just an aggressive amount of, are you okay?
One of Luz's siblings does not get out of their bed and just sleeps through the earthquake.
That was me as a kid.
I think one of the twins, Lorenzo, probably looks through Luz's room and seeing that they're not in bed and the window is open, kind of walks over and looks out and goes, what are you doing? And Luz is like, seems safer than being inside.
I think on that note too, Luz, you probably would have seen that same thing. The light at the earth stopped shaking as soon as the light disappeared from Logan's home.
I'm gonna go check on I-10.
No, no. And there's a moment of like, I will call for our parents. You get in this house right now.
But they're so.
I think they're just
Change
reaching
makes
through
them
to grab
nervous.
onto your clothes and pull you back into.
Oh no, God, Lorenzo!
Tosses you onto the bed.
There was a light. I wanted to go see what the light was. I wasn't actually gonna go check on I-10. I lied.
A light, and they're like securely closing the window, and
There was a light. I don't know. I think it was my friend Logan's house. Maybe they were having a party. Can I go see if Logan's having a party?
no.
But what if I tell Mom you snuck your boyfriend in here last week? I'll be so fast. I'll be so quick. You know how fast I am. I'll ride my bike. It'll take 5 minutes.
I heard nothing, and just turns and
Luz is gonna wait until silence falls in their house and then scramble out the window again, grab their bike, and go do like a drive-by of Logan's house.
What about everyone else? How did the household react to this earthquake?
Eventually, everybody in my house woke up and got to their safety positions. There was lots of screaming and yelling. After it was done, there was a 20-minute lecture, just a refresher on safety for a variety of natural disasters.
By you?
Oh,
You
yes.
were conducting this? Okay.
Yeah, like I've got a trifold poster board, like one of the thick foam boards. I've got a trifold deal that has like photographs of what the damage and destruction looks like everywhere, and then another one that has like the signs of these natural disasters and why you should care about them. So they do like a whole like, here you go. This is why I never throw away anything from my school projects, because you guys never remember that we have protocols in this house for a reason. If Mom were here, she would have been in the bathtub like a responsible person.
Dad, I'm disappointed. Look at point number 3.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like a little cat toy laser pointer, like as you'll see here.
I'd say that it probably hears his parents get upstairs and looks like they're probably going downstairs to check, but they start arguing about something on the way down, and he just sends a group text like, I'm fine. And hears the footsteps sort of die away as they continue to argue as they go back upstairs. And he just goes over to the window and just looking still at Logan's house, confused.
Uzo's parents probably had to. She went back to sleep once the children were safe. So someone probably had to fetch her from under the bed, and like she's like sleepily being like pulled out from under the bed like a victim from the carnage. But it's just her in the nest that she built. And she doesn't know how the family responded because she was on the couch suddenly and people are running around and securing things, and she's like, I mean, the earth stopped shaking. Are we good? Can we resume? Because it's still dark. She's still holding on to the memory of the light and things, but it's like, y'all, she's not a quick riser at all.
Loose.
Hi, Kerri.
You are walking or getting onto your bike, or what is this?
I'm getting on my bike. I've kind of like, I've taken my sister's old BMX bike and just kind of like fitted it with other things. Like there's a seat on the back where Aitan sits sometimes. There's like powerful gears. I don't know anything about bikes. She like puts on like little like shitty sandals that her mom would be frustrated that she's wearing to ride a bike, but they're the quickest shoes to put on. And she like leaves the window cracked a little bit because she doesn't want someone sneaking into the house if she's gone. That's a serious concern in her mind. But yeah, they're gonna pick up their bike and like walk it out of the yard as sneakily as possible, and then as soon as like they're past their parents' window, they're on and riding.
Okay. It doesn't take terribly long. I mean, you all live fairly close together anyways. You make it around, and the closer you're getting to Logan's house, the more wrong you see. There are pieces of the house that seem to have just completely fallen in certain areas. Not like it's caved in, but like that chunk of the house fell down into the earth itself. You can see just a torn wall where you can see into certain rooms. You see that happening in multiple portions of this house. There's debris all over it. From a distance and in the dark, it looked like it was still standing, but the closer that you're getting to this home, it is not still standing. This house in particular is destroyed. You
Is it
can
the
see
only house like
yes. Yeah, no other house seems to have taken any damage. No house beside this one on either side. The yard is fine. It is the house itself.
Luz gets off their bike and kind of wanders into the yard, not too close, and then is just kind of shouting, Logan, Mr. or Ms. or Mix Logan's parents, are you okay? I saw a light at your house and it was bright.
You're shouting, and I think there is a moment that kind of surprises you as like an arm comes over to make sure you don't move forward, and you kind of jump and look up, and it's someone in like a robe from the neighbor's house nearby. They come up and they're like, sweetie, you is this your house?
No, my friend lives here. I wanted to check on them.
Okay, let's get you out of the yard. And they're like noticing what you're seeing too, and how it's not making any sense.
They're probably not. They're probably in there. They probably need help.
You're right, but us being in danger is not helping them. We need to scoot back. Come stand on the street with me, okay? And
did you see the light?
She just grabs onto your hand like firmly and is pulling you.
I can probably see them, right?
Probably,
Cool.
yeah. What light, sweetie? And you see they are like pulling out a phone and handing it to their partner, who's grabbing it and like calling 911.
There was like a big light. It was like white, and then it was green, and then it was red, and then the earth was shaking. You felt the earth shaking, right?
Yeah, it was an earthquake. And they seem.
And then the light went, and then it was all done.
That's nice, sweetie.
It was real.
You can hear the person talking on the phone kind of rambling about just this house specifically and like getting the address off of the perfectly fine mailbox that's still sitting here. The house caved in or something, and they're like looking at the house like, I don't even know what to call this. And you can kind of hear that conversation dwindling down. Okay, let's make sure you get home.
I can ride my bike. I'm fine. I'm 10. I'm okay.
I think there's a moment where like they think they recognize you, they think you know where the house is, and they can kind of see it from here, and they're like, okay, well, you ride home, I'll watch you from here.
Well, my friend's in there though.
We're calling for help. We're gonna see what they can do. You need to go home. Your parents are gonna be worried.
They're not gonna be worried. I think they're asleep still. It's fine. There's like 7 of us. Shh! There aren't 7 of us. There's just 2. 1. It's only me.
You can ride home or I can walk you home.
I'll go. They pick up their bike and like drop down to the slowest they can possibly ride. Logan, I'll come by and try to see you tomorrow. I hope you're not crushed like a bug.
And you see more adults coming out and kind of gathering in this area in their robes or their PJs, coming out like arms crossed looking at this. You eventually get home. A lot of you are either probably looking out the window, some of you are asleep. Eventually, though, you do see, an ambulance and a cop car kind of pull up to Logan's house, and you can't help but notice the way the red and blue lights shine through your window is nothing like the light that you saw earlier. It's not even close. Shining lights on the house itself and beginning to... It's like they don't even know how to approach this situation. They're looking at this house and the way that it's destroyed, and there's just these looks of shock and confusion as they're looking at it. But you do see them begin to move toward it as safely as they can, and they're calling for people. They're seeing if they can find anyone. Eventually, in one manner or another, you will all fall back asleep.
I
Bruce
think
fell asleep with their chin propped on their hands at the old desk, looking out the window, trying to get a glimpse of what was going on. And when they wake up, they immediately throw on whatever clothes are closest to them that are maybe cleanish and are out the door.
I think first thing Aiton texts Luz and Ness and is like, "Did you see? Come over." And that's it.
I think Ness is asleep in the bathtub with blankets and pillows and stuff. And their phone is right next to them, on the porcelain siding of the tub, and when it buzzes they wake up, and they're in a cloud of Axe body spray, and their brother Kendrick is in there, and he's putting deodorant on, he's shirtless, and you can see he's got little scars under his nipples, and he's like, "What are you doing, you nerd? That was obviously an accident," yelling at her, and she's just like, I'm doing my best. I tried saving my friends. No one texted me back. And he's just like, "Your phone has been going off for 15 minutes. And I look at my phone and there's no responses to all of my safety warnings, because you guys got safety warnings throughout the night. Lots of diagrams and things like that. No response to that. Just, "Did you see the lights come over?" And they roll out of the bathtub and just don't even, they look down, they're like, "Don't even need to change." They smell their armpits real quick, put some deodorant on, and then I think change their shirt and run out the door. Kind of just screaming, I'm going to Ivy's house. I'm welcome for breakfast." Just runs, hauls ass. I think they get on their bike. They've got an off-road bike. that's like covered in mud and has like grass coming out of the gears and stuff. Like it looks like an absolute piece of trash, even though someone has clearly spent good money on this bike. The kickstand's bent, like they don't care. And they like she just like pedals as quickly as she can, like down the road and over to Aiton's house. And when she gets there, she's like, there's like a stitch in her side that she's like holding, and she's like real sweaty. But when she sees that both of their friends are okay, they're just like, okay, now I can be calm because everyone's safe and we're good.
Imagine on the way down the stairs after they've gotten dressed, Aiton calls to her parents, they're coming over for breakfast, is that okay? I hope that's okay. And their mother's already making like minimum or something in the morning. And she knows something is gonna happen. It's summer break, so she's already got like a big cast iron pan on the stove cooking. She's like, I accept this. This is what I want.
When I come in, I immediately apologize to your mother for not bringing anything. I'm so sorry. I left my house and my dad got me a bag of oranges to bring for this very occasion, and I definitely left it on the table. But you got some oranges coming to you. I'll probably be over here again soon if I leave.
I think also sort of slept. He's leaning against the wall. The window was cracked. He was listening, and I must have fallen asleep with it like wrapped in a blanket as he was listening to what was going on outside. So he wakes up very cold. It's like shit, and then has to shut the window because he left it open too long. Puts on his gi pants and then just like a normal shirt. And I think, yeah, the first thing he thinks of, or when he wakes up, it's like, oh shit, I left the window open, and then looks outside again at the house. Probably sees the same destruction. And then just is very curious about it and goes upstairs to get some breakfast, but stops at the stairs, listens, doesn't hear anything, and goes into the kitchen. He sees his dad, just his dad there, with his sort of like head in his hands, sort of wringing out his hair, and then looks up at him with a sort of bright smile. Kyle pictures his parents. They're not people when they're together, they're people when they're separate. So he sees his dad, and they have cereal out. Very short conversation. Gets bowl of cereal and then just walks out on the front yard, standing with a bowl of cereal, just eating and looking at the house on the lawn.
There's been a time lapse around Uzo open mouth, ugly snoring on the couch until this moment of people actually handling the situation. Late, like maybe 30 to 40 minutes after these moments happen, Uzo actually wakes up and remembers what she saw and starts doing two things. One is trying to somehow calculate the like intensity of the light off of memory alone and being like, well, it reflected off of this and this, so maybe it's like this, and these colors existed, so maybe all of these chemicals were involved, and is also like cyber stalking her friends because she realized she never asked for anyone's number. So is either like emailing people through their school email, like, is everyone okay? Or like messaging, DMing people she thinks is them on Twitter or Instagram, maybe, and with mixed results. So she's checking on maybe complete strangers.
It's Ness. When you look up Ness on like Instagram or whatever, the picture is them in their Wilderness Scout uniform, doing their like very serious.
Yes.
You know exactly who it is.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yes. Aten's is absolutely just Yaz. Everything Yaz. All Yaz. Like,
Yeah, the Instagram has like 20,000 followers.
Yeah, she just has so many.
Kyle just has a LinkedIn.
Luz has an Instagram that I-10 helped them set up. And it's a singular picture of I-10, Ness, and Luz. It's from 2 years ago.
Okay.
Amazing.
I imagine Yaz is like a tiny puppy.
Oh!
I think what actually wakes you up, Uzo, is you hear that terrible, terrible sound of the news, Channel 5. I think that tone is what like wakes you up because you're like, oh no. And you hear they are calling the earthquake at a 6.5, although the damage seems to have been centered primarily around one building. The Pearson residence is completely demolished, while all other homes and foundations around it remain to have minimal damage. Police and rescue teams are on the scene, and we hope to have details about the occupants and their conditions very soon. Back to you, Aziz. And then it switches back over to Aziz. Thanks, Carol. Power outages still stretch throughout the city, and officials are reporting no sign of it being back up anytime soon. Check in with us for more updates as the day continues. And I think at that point, that is kind of when you probably like turn off the TV. And
Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks. I think the whole broadcast, they were like trying to turn off the TV, and it was probably their mother who just had to like put a hand on their shoulder, like, you have to act right once. That kept her from doing it. And now that it's over, she's like, great. So I'm gonna go investigate. And I will see both of you later. And backs out of the house in her pajamas.
And I think there's definitely a moment with like everyone's parents where they're not going to be like, no, don't go, because they know that like there's already police tape everywhere. There are so many adults around that house. They know you're not going to be able to like go get into it or anything. So everyone's just like, yeah, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Small enough neighborhood that they're not worried about any of you leaving.
I think Aiton's parents only let her leave once Luz and Ness arrive, though. They do not let her go by herself. She's like standing at the door ready with Yaz, and they're like, mm-mm. I see them up the thing.
Yeah, I absolutely feel the need on our way out the door to reassure your mom. I'm like, so, ma'am, we're gonna go and we're gonna make sure our friend is okay. But that's it, because there's police tape and it says do not. And so we will not, because the police tape is there. So, we've got to obey the law, all of the laws. And one of my laws says be courteous and respectful to others. So I want to be respectful to the people who may or may not still be inside, although it would be cool to see a body.
Luz is aggressively quiet during this entire thing.
At the body, Aiton pushes Ness out the door. Bye, Mom. Bye, Abby.
So am I correct in assuming that the three of you are heading to Logan's house?
1000%,
Okay, and then Uzo is also heading to... All right, so I'm going to say all of you are beginning to like head in that direction, and Kyle, you're closest to Logan's house, and you can see the four of them like coming up on their bikes outside of this house, as close as they can get, as the police cars and police tape are all around. And you're standing in your yard. You see them across the way, and I think all of you, as you're standing here, you look over and you see Kyle standing in his yard with a bowl of cereal.
Oh yeah, I stride up to him then. Did you get my friend request? Uzo friended me today across several social media platforms, so I was like, I should probably try to friend new people too. So I friended Jonah. I don't know if that was, or Logan, Steven, the boy, the child who likes space.
I turn
Logan.
the spoon towards the house and I say, Logan.
Yeah. So I've befriended him on a couple of different places. I think it's him. It was like a big like solar system picture, but like I also sent you're only on LinkedIn, which is okay because Sensei Trujillo and his husband Yogi Trujillo, they have a LinkedIn page, and so my parents said that to get a good jump on my future, I should probably make one because I'm going to do a lot of networking, especially at the Scout conference later on this summer. So I sent you a friend request, but now you're here, so we're gonna go look at this house.
While this is happening, there is a dog sniffing you aggressively in like the sweetest way, just like, yeah, exactly, circling and like wagging and just like happily looking at you.
Yeah, I feel like I introduce you to Yaz.
I lower the bowl of cereal down to the dog.
Oh no! She is going to poop everywhere. I mean, unless it's like almond milk or oat milk or non-soy milk or like a sheep milk.
Yeah, she gets really
yes.
gassy if you give her milk stuff. I have treats though, and she pulls out a pouch of like dog treats and hands it over.
He's holding a spoon, holding a cereal bowl, and then he like a little short-circuited says, Sensei Trio said that getting a LinkedIn is a good step on your career.
Yeah, it really is. Honestly, like I keep telling everybody they should get one. I honestly think that Yaz will have a LinkedIn before anybody else.
Is that? And he points down at the dog.
Yeah, professionally adorable. I mean,
Can I? And he points at the dog.
Oh yeah, she loves cuddles. Here, I'll hold your bowl if you want.
Okay. Hands you a cereal bowl, and the most comfortable you've ever seen this kid is just petting the dog. He's just like, yeah, you're good. You're a good boy. Yeah. And then just hangs out next to the dog. This is his comfort place now. As he's just around you all.
She does tricks, and I give you the pouch.
Oh, did she do backflip?
She does up, and she does spin, and she does roll, and you can make her faint, and she gets up on stuff and jumps over stuff. We don't do backflips yet, but that's next.
He says quietly to Yaz, I learned how to do a backflip. And I would say after a little bit of petting the dog, he just says to the dog, but to you all, did you guys see that light last night?
wait, you saw a light too?
Yeah.
Yes.
Odds.
Oh, and Uzo walks up with the last 5 pieces of like a loaf of bread in the bag and is just eating that. I did, and it was buck wild. You saw all the colors and stuff, yeah?
I thought it was the Northern Lights when I woke up. I got really excited because like I'm probably not going to be there for a long time. But it was not. It was coming from this area? Was it coming from Logan's house?
Yeah.
Odds.
Whoa.
And as you all kind of glance over at Logan's house, you do see what appears to be a body being wheeled out on a gurney.
A big
Like
one or a little
covered?
I was
or
gonna say
uncovered?
Yeah.
Covered.
Oh no!
Is it grown-up size or is it child size?
Grown-up size.
Whew.
I mean, not
Not wolf, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, but still wolf, but less
Still
wolf.
Slightly
Yeah.
less wolf.
I
Nest
turn
like-
I turn Yaz's face away from the incident.
And at that, you see a lot of people still kind of crowded around or having come back out in the morning. A lot of people are like putting their hands up to their mouths. Some people are turning away. This situation just got a lot more serious.
Do we see Justin?
No.
Good.
and Logan's nowhere also.
Correct.
Okay. What do you guys think happened? Like aliens? Aliens?
Aliens.
Talking about.
Whatever
Honestly?
it was, it stopped. The earthquake stopped when the lights went away.
Yes.
Right.
I mean, that does sound like, like a like maybe an alien situation, especially since like he really likes space. I'm sure that's probably how they choose you.
He did. Oh my god. I mean, what if he's with them now? Is he? I guess he'd be safer. I mean, they have a house somewhere.
Well, I mean, he wouldn't be under the rubble. That's probably better.
Right.
Yeah.
I went over. I rode over like right after it happened, and it was just like sunk into the ground. And then these grown-ups found me, which sucked. But then they were like, "Oh, you should go home." And I was like, "Did you see the lights?" And they were like, "What lights? There were no lights." And I was like, "Yes, there were." And they fully didn't believe me. But I don't even think they saw the lights.
Grown-ups never see things.
Grown-ups are so lame.
I know.
Weird. They're so bright.
We're so bright.
Yeah.
Think Logan needs help?
I think so. Especially if aliens took him.
So we have to find him.
Kyle stands up, puts his bowl of cereal on the stoop, and he starts walking over towards the house.
As you're walking towards the house, you see a second gurney with another body under a sheet, adult-sized.
You see Ness take like a hard swallow as this, because like we're all moving closer to the house as this body's coming out. So the closer Ness gets to the body, the more they kind of like, you can almost see the realization wash over her face as the seeing a body would be cool just like gets flushed down the toilet. The closer the body comes, they kind of like freeze. And I think they just like reach out for whoever is like nearest them and they like grab. And if it's Yaz, they're just going to grab the paw and like hold the paw for safety. Like they're very freaked out and kind of stop dead in their tracks for a second. No pun intended.
Kyle would like to use his focus skill to try and not focus on the body, but focus on the house.
Kind of centering yourself.
Yeah. Otherwise, he'll probably stop and won't be able to go forward.
Okay, go ahead and roll that.
Why is this just trash every single time? Is it 2? It's
You can spend a penny.
Better. I'll do that. What is that? That gives me like a reroll or something?
Yeah, you just re-roll the whole thing.
Ah! A 6! Oh, that's an explosion. 8.
Okay. So what does that look like as you kind of center yourself and then are able to move forward?
I would say he sort of sees the second body and starts to stops walking and remembers Sensei Trujillo, this very handsome Latino man with a very dad black mustache, completely bald head, walking him through one of these routines when he got nervous, or like maybe his first sparring thing. He sort of like froze up because, you know, didn't want to hurt anyone, even though the focus of the thing is the way of the harmonious spirit. But Sensei Trujillo just sort of walking him through that, and just like the breathing, and that's what he does.
Yeah, and I think we hear that breathing. Like all other sounds of the scene are completely drowned out, and we hear Kyle's controlled breaths as he walks closer to this house, as close as you can get. You're up to that police tape, and you see a couple adults just like keeping an eye on you to make sure you're not going to try to go in, and you're getting a look at this house. You can see there have been a lot of like supports put in to make sure that it's not going to collapse any further from what they can do, at least. Some rubble has been kind of pushed out of the way as they've discovered various bodies. The bodies of Logan's parents are being placed into the back of the ambulance, and you hear they've been searching all night. They've been looking all night, and you hear a mix of how many kids? There was 2. Both rooms were empty. We can't find them anywhere. The parents were found dead. Morgan and Logan's bodies were not found. And with this, the camera begins to pull up, and eventually, we see this just large time lapse, probably of summer break. As debris is being cleared, we see years pass. A couple of years, we see construction started, rebuilding the home that once stood there. Occasionally, over the years, our characters have dreams of Logan Pearson. And they find themselves waking up as their clocks read 12:57 a.m. And that is where our first episode comes to an end.
Fuck. What did nails do when the hammer is?
Oh my God, I was
a
so
hammer
mad.
Nail.
Fuck
Who
you,
does
Kerri.
that when that happens?
Yeah.
Are you saying this to Kyle or to Kyle? Fuck. To
Logan.
Logan.
Too many white boy names.
School has not started yet, and we're gonna decimate this poor boy.
School just ended, and that was just beginning.
Out of session.
This is summer session, bitch. Here we go.
Mhm.
Summer school, motherfucker.